So it's Wednesday the 12th of October 2022. Temperature is 12 degrees centigrade, and this is the first of the nature walks for the Bishop Stortford Natural History Society, starting in St James's Church car park. And we're going to walk a circuit of about 1.4 miles and see what we can find in terms of biodiversity and also different types of habitats. And we're going to start going into the churchyard opposite here, where there is going to be a large Wellingtonia. Walking into the churchyard, first thing is we've got a wonderful old Wellingtonia in front of us here, and we've got typical graveyard habitat, which we'll have got on the various tombstones and things, a good collection of different lichens of all sorts. But as so often happens with churchyards and graveyards, is they do tend to get rather manicured. This is the first of our habitats, which is the graveyard habitat. And here we have the here we have this wonderful old yew tree. Dave, can you tell us how old this yew tree is?
Well, they don't know, but they think it's at least 900 years old. I think the problem is you know, it's difficult to kind of date. But I think by the size, they reckon at least 900 years old.
Yeah, well, it's huge, isn't it? It's huge.
It's hollow inside.
But we can tell by Michael Brown standing by the side of it the scale of the tree indeed. He's now going to examine it with his walking stick.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's very, very old.
Yes. So it certainly predates the existing church.
Right, here we have the church, a flint-built church. Here we are.
I mean, the famous thing in the church is the old Norman doorway.
Sorry, this is what? Sorry. This archway.
The doorway here, which is kind of Norman. If you look in here, Bob, just inside, it's above the interior door.
Excellent. Take a still of that. Right, well, we're into intensive agricultural land here, as you can see. Cereals have been sown. Is that a crow? It's got to be a crow. If it's by itself, it's a rook, is it? It's a rook in a flock? A crow on its own? What is it, Jim? It's a crow on its own, yeah. Okay. Right. Are those seagulls in the distance there?
There's also a flock of geese. Yeah, there is.
How many seagulls, Jim? Are they lesser black-backed gulls?
I hear the skylark singing ahead as well.
Skylark singing?
There's where those trees are, there's another...
I have it on good authority that we just had a meadow pipit take off in front of us, and we can in fact hear a skylark singing as well, or those of us who have got really good hearing can hear a skylark singing.
And we've got the red kite over there.
And there's a red kite in the distance. For those of you who've got good eyesight and a pair of binoculars, there's a red kite as well.
They are.
Well, this really is a splendid morning. The sun's come out and it's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful spot. Very nice indeed. We're going to continue on down this track, but we've just been discussing, we think this might have been a steam engine path when the days when they used to do steam ploughing. I'm not sure about that, but that's a possibility what it was. Interesting, just looking at the soil. The soil has now really got quite stony. Whether it's just where the boulder clay has been more deeply ploughed, or whether or not we've got a bit of a seam of gravel through here. But this is highly fertile arable land. And looking up north, got a nice mixed hedge in this direction. This is the bridge over the Spell Brook.
A few places now you actually hear running water.
And the Spell Brook actually has a drop of water in it by the look of it. Not very much. There's the Spell Brook on that side and the Spell Brook on this side. and going out onto an area here which is adjacent to this is where the birds were flying. It's a man-made reservoir with a lot of interesting rough ground here, which I've no doubt has got a certain level of biodiversity in it. So we think that this strip here has been sown as a conservation crop, and certainly there are various different clovers and things you can see in it. There are also some plants like this which could be old oilseed rape plants, but equally well they could be some kind of cabbage that's been sown. And yeah, there's chamomile, chamomile, and
wild carrot.
Wild carrot, yes, we can see wild carrot over there. So yeah, it's quite an interesting strip botanically, and probably later in the year would be quite interesting to see for birds and things on here, I suspect.
And all the little birds over there look like herringbulls there.
What can you see? Right, so we've got this lovely old mixed hedge here, and it's very interesting to have a look and just see what we can see. So in front of us here is Old Man's Beard. What was there, Michael?
Sloe.
There's sloes, blackthorn or sloe.
Wild rose. Field maple.
What's that pink? Is that wild rose
There's
up
an
there?
ash coming up there.
Wild rose.
Field maple and
Field maple.
spindle.
Spindle. Doesn't seem to be much of a year for spindle berries. Here's a spindle.
Drought, you know.
Nice bit of colour with the field maple.
Sugar beet being no good.
Wild rose.
Doesn't look particularly old, actually, Bob. This one.
The hedge. Well, I think this has been flailed, isn't it? This edge is, but the actual hedge itself is quite old, I think.
Well, I've seen 4 species so far.
Yeah, I think it was where the blackthorn was encroaching onto the path, wasn't it? I think they've knocked that back. We've got an old oak here. What is there, Michael?
Being killed here.
Oh, in a small wildlife tragedy, yes.
That's a runs, isn't it, into the hedge.
Yeah, a wonderful year it's been for wild roseberries, rose hips. The topic of ash dieback seems to have faded a little bit, but we've got 2 ash trees here. This one is suffering quite badly from ash dieback, and then the one next to it is quite healthy, but eventually presumably will contract the disease as well. Lovely bit of Hertfordshire countryside, as you might say.
Some patches of woodland, isn't there? And the big fields and patches of woodland.
That's right. The typical Hertfordshire.
Isolated, kind of farmsteads.
And a lot of it, I have to tell you, originates for the needs of fox hunting. That's why a lot of it persists like that. And we've got jackdaws and magpies finding something to eat on that field. There's some lovely autumn colours behind. Yeah, and there's a pond there, and we've got a poplar tree ahead of us here. Several poplar trees by the look of it.
So there must...
And it's obviously a wet area there.
Willow herb around then? Like a willow herb? Yeah.
And we're coming up now to the Bishop Stortford bypass.
I mean,
So now we're taking a right turn and we're going across the Spell Brook again, mind the slippery slope. And you can probably hear we're adjacent to the Bishop Stortford bypass. Coming out of the woodland belt, and we are almost back at the church, which you can see in the distance, coming out onto the windy, slightly elevated ground where it's getting a bit windy. And then looking back where we've been walking, this is the line of the Spell Brook, quite a heavily wooded, steep-sided corridor. Right, tell us about it, Dave.
No, this is just really is left to go wild. The volunteers cut it down and keep the path going, but it's the first place I saw the marbled white 2 years back.
Nice kind of...
How many years?
Oh, about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. They spread over to the other side now.
They went over to the other side, that's right.
Quite a nice little gladed area, isn't it, really? And this is now coming to the end of the walk, and this is the pond by the church. And this pond has been encroached on by reed mace, as you can see, but in the foreground there is a small green plant which is New Zealand pygmyweed, which is unfortunately a highly invasive plant. And the rest of the pond, large weeping willow tree, and water levels low, as there are in all ponds at this time of year. But there is a moorhen on the far bank. So here we are, coming back to the car park. Lovely old flint church wall, monkey puzzle in the grounds of the churchyard, and a really great walk this morning, which has taken us an hour and a half, which is exactly what was planned.
You can see the patched up spire there for the patch.